Hello everyone, in this video I'll be giving you a Bloodhound's Fang build guide for in Elden Ring. So this is in preparation for the DLC. I'm going to be showing you an extremely powerful build here that can help you solo the whole game and beat Mohg. I actually have a video on how to take down Mohg using this exact build. Now, we're going to want to have the Bloodhound's Fang upgraded as much as possible. This is going to give us the most amount of damage. This has bleed on it, which is extremely powerful, and we can actually pair this alongside some really nice things that I'll get into in this video. Now, we're going to use in the offhand a Dragon Communion Seal. This allows us to buff ourselves with Flame Grant Me Strength and Blood Blade Ritual, which gives us two really big buffs. I would highly recommend grabbing this. You can also go with the Finger Seal. That's another one that you can get from Round Table Hold. So if you don't have the Dragon Communion one, the reason I'm using this is it actually has the lowest stats to use, 10 Faith, 10 Arcane. These have lower stat requirements, but it's just not as strong. So we're going to go with that there. For our armor, you can really go with whatever armor that you want. I'm just using these ones in particular. I want you to pay attention to the poise number right above my head here. We got 58 poise. You want to have at least minimum of 51, ideally minimum of 56. I got 58 there using this setup, and we have a medium roll. So I got EG's Mirror Helm, Carrion Knight Armor, Bull Goat Gauntlets, and Veteran Greaves. It really just depends what you want to use. For Talisman, we got the Green Turtle Talisman. This raises our stamina recovery speed, so we get our stamina back quick, which is something we want, especially if we're going to be using our weapon art often. I like the Crimson Amber Medallion just for extra health. It's always a nice thing as a cushion. Shard of Alexander is going to boost the attack power of our skill, so using our Bloodhound Step attack, or Bloodhound Fang attack, we're going to get a boost to that. And the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman increases our durability by 20%, which is really nice. I personally like having Black Knife Tish and the Mimic Tear for our summons, and then potions. You can go with 10 Flask of Crimson Tears and 4 or 3 Cerulean Tears, since we aren't using spells as much. And then I also like the Opaltine and the Crimson Crystal Tears for increased health and damage negation. So the way that we're going to go about using this build, also I guess for our spells, I'm going to be using Blood Flame Blade, Flame Grant Me Strength, Rotten Breath, Swarm of Flies, and Blood Boon. So all of these actually work together very well. It's going to increase our bleed damage. So Swarm of Flies is actually really good against bosses. You can just cast this from a distance and it's going to shoot flies towards them, which cause bleed buildup, which is extremely powerful. And I'll go over stats in just a minute, but we have 17 Arcane to allow us to use the Blood Boon, Scatters Blood Flame before the Cluster, Blood Flame Blade, which requires 12 Faith, 10 Arcane, and then the Rotten Breath, which requires 15 Arcane, 15 Faith, 12 Arcane. Flame Grant Me Strength requires 15 Faith. So our stats, this is where it gets interesting. I want to talk about where you should go with our stats, so you can see them all up there. We have 50 Vigor, 32 Mind and Endurance, 22 Strength, 52 Dexterity, 9 Intelligence, 15 Faith, and 17 Arcane. So the reason I went with these stats, we want to also, while you're leveling, take your Vigor up to 30 first. That should be the first thing you do when playing through this game. And then for anyone that's watching this while they're playing through, get your Vigor up to 30 right away. And then Dexterity is your main stat for damage. I would want to, ideally you'd have a nice split between your Endurance and your Dexterity. And you can take Mind up a bit to give yourself a bit more stamp or FP to cast with. 15 Faith and 17 Arcane allows us to cast all those spells with our seal there, which actually is really strong. So ideally, we'd start with the Blood Flame right there, so that makes our weapon look really good, Blood Flame Blade. And then Flame Grant Me Strength is going to increase the damage of this. So typically, we just go in and use our weapon art. It's 2100 damage right there, so that can easily one-shot a lot of these guys. I recommend coming here if you want to farm souls as well. This is a really good spot to go, but what's nice about this is we can do this attack here where we dodge backwards, and then if you can follow it up with an attack as well. So we're gonna have all these guys coming after us here. The lore behind this area is really funny, but the nice thing about Bloodhound's Fang is you can attack second time. So if you use the R2 button, so they got the range attacks against me. So this will usually finish off most of them, but you can follow up with that second attack if you press R2. So L2 to do this, and then R2 to dash towards them and get that attack in and not knock yourself off the edge. But yeah, ideally you're going to go through with this, and then you can follow up with the second attack. So that is the playstyle you're going to want to be going through. So I would start off with buffing yourself with the Blood Flame Blade. This gives you extra damage, fire, and bleed. And then Flame Grant Me Strength will increase your damage dealt, as well as increase the bleed, or the fire damage. Rotten Breath is really great. There's some bosses that will get shredded by Rotten Breath, so you can inflict Scarlet Rot buildup there. And what Scarlet Rot buildup does is it deals damage over time, and you can actually take people out really quickly with it, so it's super useful. The Fire Giant in particular is pretty weak to Rotten Breath, but it will drain your FP quickly. Also, the Blood Boon spell here is really nice, so you can just use this to cast that, and it'll deal damage ticks over time and bleed, as you can see there. So while it's not the absolute best damage, I would recommend using it at certain times where you want to get a nice bit of bleed buildup. Alternatively, you can also use the Swarm of Flies, as you can see here. You just cast this and it runs towards them. This spell is really great against the Fire Giant, as it seems to clip through larger enemies, and it'll, as you can see there, we're dealing bleed damage, which is really nice. So yeah, typically your strategy would be to apply Blood Flame Blade, apply Flame Grant Me Strength, and then you're pretty buffed up, and you just run in and L2, L2, L2. But the nice thing about the Bloodhound's Fang is you can go whoop and then follow with that R1 or R2 attack. So this is an incredibly powerful build for an Elden Ring. So the Bloodhound's Fang, extremely powerful weapon, and it'll help you with getting to beating Moog and getting to the DLCs. So thank you so much for watching. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you all in the next video.